Hello everyone. We can start the session now. So first of all, I want to introduce today's speaker, Dr. B.K. Kishore. He is a highly respected academician, innovator, entrepreneur, and a global thorough leader in the field of biomedical science. He is also the CEO and the CSO of the Epurines. Dr. Kishore currently serves as an adjunct professor in the Department of Internal Medicine at the Salt Lake City University of Utah. With a distinguished background in the renal physiology and a decade of international recognized research, he has made the significant contribution to scientific and the medical community worldwide. In addition to his academic and research leadership, Dr. Kishore is also published author. His recent book, Neutralize the US Citizen Culture, Tradition, Integration, Loyalty, Patriotism, Journey of the Immigrant Scientist, is the heartfelt reflection of his personal journey as an immigrant, blending culture identity with the professional excellence and civic commitment. Please join me in the warming welcome of Dr. B.K. Kishore for today's session. Now I request Dr. Kishore to share his slide and start this session. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Patel, and thanks for the introduction and appreciate. And good morning to all. I think it's morning time in India, and it's night for us here. Let me start sharing my slides. Can you see it now?
Yes,
Can you see
sir.
this? Okay,
Yes.
hold on a sec. I will make the full size. Okay. Today's webinar is a more generalized one. It's not academic. It's how to lead the life in the United States. And a lot of people come here and they may not have an idea what this country is and what is expected, what's the culture, what people think, and how things are done. And by the time they learn, ultimately they will learn, but it may take several years. And some may learn faster, some may learn. It may take even longer time, but a lot of time is lost, and they think that if I know how to do things properly from the beginning, I would have done better like that. But nothing to worry. So I want to simplify the life in the United States and what it is. And a lot of people think that once they come to United States, their future is taken care of. And don't think like that. Your future is never taken care of in the United States. I tell people if the United States is a kitchen well equipped with all the gadgets to cook. But still, it needs your skills to cook. If you don't know how to cook, the kitchen is no use. So it's not the country itself that matters, but how we use the resources there and how we advance and how we present ourselves to the community here, because personal traits matter a lot in advancing here, because here, most of the time the jobs or promotions are not time bound, or they don't look at the number of years of experience. They look at you and how smart you are and how excellent you are, and then they will give the job or promote you. So the personal qualities, the character building or the personality building matters a lot here. Okay, let us start looking at it. First thing, a lot of people think there's not big difference between United States and India. Both they think that both are democracies and free countries, and there is a lot of freedom, and both are secular and both promote capitalism. But in reality, when you come here, you see there's a lot of differences. All the countries outside they may look similar, but inside the structure is very different. The fabric, inner structure is very, very different. And we will see in the next few slides how they differ. And of course, they also differ a lot in the heritage and tradition, because each country has its own heritage and tradition. India has a long time; it has been there for thousands of years. United States is relatively new, but still each has its own characteristics. So when you look at the heritage and tradition, when you look at India, the life there has been conditioned by for thousands of years. It has been influenced by the kings and emperors who ruled the country. And then we have religious personalities, scriptures and all those things. And we have traditions, and we also have invaders and foreign rules. All these things have changed the way we live in India. And of course, there is not a single way we live in India because it differs from one place to another. People in different parts of the country have their own way of taking the things. But if you look at the United States, it's relatively new, only 500 years old, and it never had a kings or emperors. So it doesn't even, it was not even shaped by any religious personalities or any influence of the religion or scriptures. The country was founded and established by ordinary people who came from Europe seeking freedom and liberty. This is the only country in the world that is completely started by people, ordinary people, not dynastic rulers or religious, what you call process or anything. So it is very, very different. Now, if you look at the fabric of the country, fabric means inside. You know all this Indian society, we have a lot of divisions. We have vertical divisions and horizontal divisions. You know all those things. I don't have to tell you. And we also have the hierarchy in the society, because of which we also don't have, strictly speaking, the dignity of labor. People are respected depending upon what they do, and that is a typical way of our life there. But if you come to the United States, you see a different situation. As per the United States founding principles is all men are created equal, and a lack of hierarchy here. You don't see that there's somebody behaving like a boss and somebody has to answer the boss and to treat it like a subordinate. And you will come to know when you start working here, at workplace all are equal, and that is gives a lot of dignity of labor, and that is the backbone of the United States, because people don't hesitate to do anything here to live. So they are respected. They don't have to do, all people have to do great jobs to be respected in the society. That's a fundamental difference. So you also have to know this thing when you go back in India. Suppose you are a doctor, you have staff who are working in the hospital, nurses, and they are considered as assistants. But here you see they are not considered as assistants. They are considered like your co-workers. You have to be very careful how you talk to them. If you're just like you talk to another doctor, you have to talk to the nurses and technicians with the same respect, because they are not assistants, they're not subordinates. And he may be sitting in the coffee room or break room in the hospital and drinking coffee, and the somebody like a housekeeping person, he may come and sit there and he say hello doctor, and he will drink his coffee. That's very common here. You don't see those things in India happening. And that you see the basic difference here is all are equal at the workplace, all have equal access to all facilities. You cannot say, oh, this is only for doctors, this is only for nurses, like that. The division you will not see. You will not see the division. That's very common here. Now, national structure, if you look at the national structure, India is considered as a democracy, we know that, but we don't have common civil code. That makes a difference in America. And most of the time, the civil rights, even though they are there, they're not protected at the individual level. They are protected by groups or unions. Suppose somebody, imagine in the hospital, a nurse is fired because for any reason. She cannot fight. He or she cannot fight alone. The nurse union will come and represent, and they talk to the authorities. And if they don't listen, they go on strike, and all these things are normal. And the politicians will come and take advantage of the whole thing. These things. But in America, that's not the situation. It's not a democracy. America is not a democracy. Actually, the word democracy cannot be found anywhere in the Constitution. It's called constitutional republic. So in democracy, what happens is the majority party rules and takes all the decisions. And in the constitutional republic, the representatives of the people come to the rule, like a Congress and Senate and the House. But the Constitution is the powerful thing. If somebody's civil rights are violated, that person alone can fight. That person alone can fight and get them back by judicial system. So the judicial system is the one that protects the civil rights. You might have seen it recently in the newspapers. The judges putting blocks and many, many things, for deportation like that. See, that is the power of the judicial system in America. So it's not a republic, it's not a democracy, it's a constitution. So you can protect your own rights. That's the beauty of this country. What you need is a lawyer and a court system. So this is an example I tell you. 10 years ago in our hospital, a nurse was arrested by a police officer who was under the misimpression that he has the right to take blood sample from an unconscious patient who was involved in an accident. They want to look for drugs or something. The nurse said his patient is unconscious. He cannot give the consent, so he need to come with a court order to take the blood. But the police thought that he has the power to investigate. And when she came, he arrested her, saying that you are obstructing my investigation. So what happened the next day? The chief of the police came to know, and he realized that the police officer made a mistake. He was immediately fired. And his supervisor who sent him, he was reprimanded. And the nurse hired a lawyer and sued the police department. The police department immediately came within a week or so, out of court settlement, paying her $600,000 as compensation for violating her civil rights. That is the power of a republic, constitutional republic. You don't need unions, you don't need politicians, you don't need anybody to protect your rights. At the same time, it's a double-edged knife. If you violate somebody's civil rights, you are also in trouble. So it protects, and also you have to respect it. That's a fundamental difference between India and the United States. So with regard to the civil rights, and it is very important because when you're dealing with patients and patients' relatives and other things, you need to be careful that you are not violating any rights. Now, bridging the cultural gap, when we talk about, I just divided into different levels: intellectual level, mental level, physical level, social level, and national level, because we have different type aspects of life, depending on what we are doing. Now, if you look at the intellectual life level, what is the basic difference between what is the American way of thought process? Most Americans are very frank and open and direct when dealing with others. If they want to say no, they will say no. They don't mind. They don't care what you mind. There's no such thing as pleasing you and telling something else. They say, no, sorry, I can't do it. He will tell. Even if he's a close friend, he may say, sorry, I can't do it. So what are their goals? They are mostly, the personal goals are well-being. They are take care of their health. They're most important, take care of finances, and their relationship, friends and the community and other things. And they're also committed for freedom, equality, and fair treatment to all. Most of the Americans have these traits. They respect your rights, and they treat you fairly and other things. Now and then you find some eccentric people. That is a different issue, but majority of them are fair, and they deal in a very rightful way. So when you come to the mental level, Americans mind their own business. They will not care what you're doing. Even if you're next door or next to in the office or in the next room, they don't care what you do. And they are not interested in poking their noses at others' issues or lives. This is a very, very important thing. They are not curious about what you're doing. But they are trained from the beginning in the school like that, mind your business. Somebody's life is not your problem. Of course, if somebody comes and I say, I need help, they will do it. They will help. But unnecessarily, they will not get into the others' issues. And at the same time, they expect the same thing from others. So if you observe them, if they are not poking your nose, you should also not bother about what they're doing unless they come and ask you something. And another thing is gossip. Gossip is strictly, you can't see the gossip at workplace. And especially they will not talk about a third person. If two people meet, they talk about themselves. They do not talk about a third person who is not there. And actually talking about a third person at workplace can also lead into trouble if that person comes to know that you want somebody, some person is talking. He can claim that it is a type of harassment. You are unnecessarily bringing bad impression of the person. So you have to be very, very careful. Don't make any comments on anybody. Americans never say anything. It's not like we have in India, and When somebody new guy comes to, I remember my college, they used to talk, how is the new guy, what is there? That type of talking will not be there here. And you should not get involved also. And most of the Americans I know, they don't make promises unless they're very confident of doing it or delivering the result. But once they make the promise, they will not break it. And they also expect the same thing from us. So don't promise people unless you are sure that you can do it. You don't feel obligated, oh, I know him, he's asking, I need to do. Because if you say no, they don't mind it. Sorry, I can't do. They don't mind it. They don't take it personal. That is a fundamental difference. If there are two friends back in India, if I say to my friend, I can't do it, he will take it personally and say, oh, Kishore is not helping me. He's a old friend like that. But Americans don't take it personally. They don't take anything personally. Okay, you said it's not possible. So try to understand that culture. You don't have to feel obligated. And if you can do it, you do it. If you can't do it, tell them, sorry, I cannot, I got to, it's not possible for me. So that is important at the mental level because that's how you interact with the people in the workplace. Now, at the physical level, at interaction, one of the fundamental things is the Americans respect their personal space. They don't want people to come too close to them, always 2 or 3 feet away from them at workplace or even in the public. And especially when you're moving, trying to catch a plane or something, you have to keep the distance, and they don't like coming close to them. And if you see kids or pets or something like that, and if you feel, oh, they're cute, and don't try to pamper them or try to, touch them, that's not a good idea. They don't take it friendly. And be courteous to others. Suppose you're walking and somebody's coming behind you, and hold the door for the other person and let them go. That is a very good manners in America. And I see a lot of people coming from India, they don't bother to do it. And that looks very bad on us because these are like manners, good manners. I suppose you're waiting at the elevator, let the people come out first. Don't try to go inside. And then now it happens. And I see many times people try to push into the elevator without allowing the people from the elevator to come out. And the same thing in the subways and other things. These may look like small things, but those are the things that they do observe. Okay. And if you are at workplace, your colleagues will notice that you are a very smart guy and you got good manners and other things. And that they do make a lot of difference. They form some good impressions about you. And also, this is very important for if you are attending a resident interview. After you get up and leaving, push the chair back into the table. This you go and observe anywhere in America. 90% of the Americans, even in restaurants, they put the chair back from where they pull out. And this is supposed to be one of the well-mannered characteristic. You start doing it in the interview room, you leave a very good impression about that you are a very well-mannered civic person. And you can wonder why it matters. Because you're going to be a doctor in the hospital. They also look at your civics and manners and the way you do things. So keep those things, small things matter a lot. And of course, this is very often I see if you look at the airplanes, when a plane lands in America, everybody stands up and stay in their seats. Nobody will start moving, and the people will leave in a systematic way, row by row. But sometimes I see some of our people just walking in between straight away as if the line is clear. You should not do those things. That's a very bad impression leaves. And you can wonder why all these things matter. If you keep on doing these things over the time, you leave a very good impression about yourself at the workplace, at least in the workplace, because they watch you every day. And that helps you in the long run because people will be very willing to help you and in all manner, in all ways. Now there are social interactions. So back in India, if you are walking and somebody you don't know, somebody you happen to bump in, you don't say hello because We don't say hello to strangers. We say hello to only the people who know. But it's exactly opposite in America. If you see somebody and they're walking and you're walking in the sidewalk or anywhere, if you see somebody and if you happen to have an eye contact with that person, you must say hello. If you don't say hello, that's bad manners. And they invariably say, even if you don't say, they will say hello, and you have to reciprocate it. You may wonder, why should I say to hello to stranger? But that is their culture. And never try to stare at the people. You may just happen to look once and that's okay, but staring is a very bad manners. Don't stare at anybody more than a second or something like. And that's highly disrespectable way of dealing with the public. Of course, I already said you don't try to discuss about others at the workplace because it's coming back and it hurts you because then those people come to know that you're talking about, even if a good thing or bad thing doesn't matter. Don't talk about anything. When you want to talk to somebody, talk about your problem or their problems, not the third person. Don't bring the third person in the conversation. And sometimes you may find that you may likely to get into an argumentation with some colleagues. My suggestion is don't argue with anybody. If you're right and the other person is wrong, say thank you and go. Because if you argue once, twice, or thrice, they will characterize you as a troublemaker. Trust me, because nobody argues at workplace. If you're doing it repeatedly once or twice or thrice, and the supervisors and peers will say, "Oh, he's a troublemaker. He keeps on arguing." And I know one instant where one of my colleagues in Indian, he kept on arguing, and I told him, "Don't argue like that," and ultimately he was fired. I mean, they laid him off. They don't want it. No, here nobody wants anybody to talk too much or make any trouble. Just ignore and move. You don't have to convince people about what you think. Nothing will come out of that. If you really have a differences with anybody at the workplace, just request, go and say, "Hey, I want to talk to you." Tell politely. They sit with you or her and talk very carefully and say, "Look here, I think like this, and maybe we should not do like this," and they will listen. But if you have a problem with somebody, instead of talking to this person, you go and talk to a third person saying that, "Oh, this guy is doing like this and I have a problem with this guy." Then it becomes slander. You know what is slander? It's a legal term whereby a person can claim that you are defaming that person or doing character assassination. You don't have a right to talk about a person with somebody who is not, I mean, your colleague, like a third person. That is a very dangerous thing to do at workplace. You should never do it. Always talk to the person concerned, or you can talk to your boss. Apart from the boss, don't talk to anybody about any issues you have at the workplace. Even if they are Indians, don't talk because you never know how things go wrong. And if they find the basic principle here is if two people are found arguing once or twice, both will be fired. No doubt about it. They don't want to keep either one of them. They will just fire both of them. Because here, the principle is if there is anybody making trouble or argumentation or whatever it is, it destroys the morale in the workplace. They don't want to destroy the morale in the workplace. And also repeated arguments or type of things create a hostile environment for others who are seriously working. They don't want any nuisance at workplace, to be honest. That's the thing. And also always be truthful. And even if you have done something wrong, just say, "No, I messed it up." They will not hurt you. They will not say anything. Even your boss will not say anything. He will not shout at you. He will appreciate that you have acknowledged the mistake. But if you don't tell the truth, then the problem comes because they have no tolerance. Here they don't tolerate any lies or not telling the truth. That is very dangerous. And if somebody asks your boss or something, "Yes, I made a mistake and I will rectify it," then they will appreciate it. Doing a mistake is not a problem, but not trying to cover it up is a big issue here. Even if there is an error in treating the patient, so tell that, "Okay, I know I made a mistake." They will try to help you. Of course, you have to be very loyal to the USA because after all, it's a country you have chosen to come here and spend the rest of your life possible. And in the recent years, even though it's not related to doctors, many of these foreign students and other people coming and making problems here with all the political things. Don't get involved in any political issues, even American politics. You can do it when you become citizen. Until that time, don't get involved in any of those things because that's going to affect your visa status. And when you happen to see a veteran at the workplace or a serviceman, be respectful and always say, go and tell them, may I help you like that? Because Americans respect veterans and servicemen like police or military active military very much and show some courtesy and special treatment to them. And they will like you and even your bosses or supervisors will see that you are a great person. And there are a lot of national days like Veterans Day and Memorial Day. You will get a normally 3-day weekend, and most of the time people go on vacation and some resort or something. You can go, but try to understand the importance of those days because you need to understand the culture of the land. Unless you understand the culture of the land, you will never really get attached to the land itself. So try to understand, read. You can go to the Google and read what is Memorial Day, what is Veterans Day, when it started, what's it important. And in case if your workplace normally organizes some event, Memorial Day event or something in the hospital, go and join the event and show your respect for the country and the workplace. And these things will earn you good impressions from your peers. That's what I'm saying. Read and understand the importance of the national days and respect those events. Now, dealing with the law enforcement, sometimes if you're stopped by a policeman or a policewoman, you're driving a car or something, they are very polite and very respectful. Just listen to them and do whatever they say and don't argue with them. And even if you think that you are right, and the policeman stopped you, don't say, no, I did not do like that. Don't say anything, just listen. If the police gives a ticket, take it. And you can always go to the court and there you can represent, say, I did not do it. But you should not argue with the police on the street. Because once you start arguing with the police, they can take it that you are not obeying their orders. In America, a policeman is not somebody who dropped from high school or college. He represents the power of the state with a badge. So if you do not obey the police officer, you are not obeying the state. That is the type of concept they have. So you should not lie to the police officer. You should not disobey the police officer. Do whatever they say. And if you have any problem, you can always go to court and talk to a lawyer and do these things. But if you start arguing with them on the spot, they can arrest you. And once you're arrested and taken a mugshot, that will hurt your visa. Be careful. Now, there are certain terms which you might have not heard back in India. One of them is hostile workplace. If you go to the human resources, they will give the definitions. What is hostile workplace? The federal and state laws in America guarantee a very safe and workplace without any intimidation or fear and free. So if somebody is making something that disrupt that peace and safety, it is called hostile in workplace. It doesn't mean that somebody coming with some weapon or threatening somebody. It can be simple argument. I tell you one thing. Back in India, when I was in the medical schools, I have some professors that don't talk to each other because they don't like. They work in the same department. If you do, same thing happens here. If the two doctors not talking to each other, that is also hostile environment here. Because of these two are not talking, it has a psychological effect on other people who work with them. And I experienced it back in India. Suppose I want to talk to one professor and I used to talk to that professor when the person whom he doesn't like is not there on that day. Because if he sees that, he thinks that I am doing something. So this type of psychological feelings will come. That is also a hostile environment. So should never, you may be having differences, but you should never express any of those differences externally, even in your face. You should not become tight when you see somebody, say hello, talk nicely. And actually, I talk very nicely with the people I don't like, honestly, because I learned the trick. We talk very nicely with the people you don't like. It you may not like, doesn't matter. Talk very nicely, and everybody think that you are very good. But what happens is when they find out that you have something with the whole system is you may be having your personal prejudices, but the workplace is you are an employee there. You cannot afford to say that I don't like this person, I don't want to work with this person, or I will be a little tight. So that is taken as a disqualification for the job. So you should never, for example, if my technician does something wrong, an experiment is gone wrong, and I'm upset, but I should never show it on my face. I should not even raise my eyebrows. Because if the technician finds that I'm not happy and my face is a little bit, hostile, the technician, he or she can go and complain to the HR, human resource, that I'm creating a hostile environment for a job, and she has the right to work in a harassment or in a workplace that is free of hostile environment. That is the point I'm telling, the right. She has the right to have a safe working place, and we don't have, you or I don't have to take it out. So if the person has made a mistake, you have to sit with the person, talk nicely. Okay, what happened? So let us do like this and coach them and teach them till and train them. But you cannot, of course, shouting is totally is different. You cannot shout on anybody. But even without shouting, you should not express your displeasure or anguish or something, because if you do it repeatedly, one day they will go and complain. I can't work with this doctor because he's always keeps his face very tense and hostile. Then the HR will come and start investigating, and he will be in trouble. The other thing is harassment, which I said this is also a term used by the HR. Harassment can be different. It can be sexual harassment or even just friendly harassment. You keep on asking somebody and asking them to do something which they don't want to do. Anything that you do repeatedly with an idea that I can get the work done by from, if they are not willing, can be considered as a harassment. And you have to be very careful. These things can be blow up into serious consequences. Lack of collegiality. The another one, collegiality, that means you have to be very friendly with everybody at the workplace. If you are not, you will be considered lack of collegiality. How it matters? Suppose you are working in a university or a hospital, you want a promotion and you apply, and all your colleagues have the right to vote for it. It's very common. When I applied from associate to professor, all my division has voted for me whether I should be given or not. And if you don't get enough votes, you will not be promoted. This is how they create an atmosphere that everybody is nice with other people. Collegiality is something you have to be very nice with people like a family. And if you can do something, if they ask, you have to do it. You cannot just say, I can't do it. Then you are showing lack of collegiality. Collegiality is also, it's not you only advance, you help others at workplace to advance. And you should not think that you are competing, they are competing with you. There's no such thing as competition here, because everybody is evaluated by his own merits here. So you don't have to worry. Of course, now and then you will come across some jerks, eccentric people. So when you happen to see such a jerk or eccentric person, first thing you do is keep away from those people. I mean, deal them with it to the extent needed, but don't argue with them. Don't get into any verbal interaction. And eventually, the jerks will be the system will eliminate the jerks, because more and more people realize, and the boss will also realize, and they will be sent out. And I have seen such jerks have gone over the time, but they are like, they can start a fire, and don't get involved in that fire with the jerks, because most of the time what happens is they will be safe and you will be trouble. And especially when you're till you get your green card or in citizenship, we have to be very careful to not to get involved in this type of things at workplace. Of course, never discuss politics and religious issues at workplace. Americans never discuss politics and religious issues at workplace. They may discuss outside, maybe in the bar or in the golf court, but not at the workplace, because what happens if you start discussing your political thinking and affiliations, knowingly or unknowingly, you polarize the workplace. Suppose you are supporting a particular party, all those people who are supporting the opposition party, they will think you like a political opponent. So you are no more, they cannot think you as a good colleague anymore. Same thing with the religion. So never discuss. Don't even say that I support this leader or that I support that president or something. Never say anything. Just to keep cool and never bring out anything, and don't talk about politics and religion at the workplace. Now it's about your work, how you take care of your work. So if you take care of your work, it will take care of your future. It's very simple. You don't have to do anything. I tell you, United States is the only country where nobody can steal your work, not even your bosses. That is one protection we have. Whatever you do, almost 100% of benefit you will reap it. In some countries, you do the work and boss takes the credit. We know it. And here, nothing happens. Nobody is going to take your work and get the credit. So whatever you do is yours. So it's like your money. So take care of the work. So that is the only thing that you have, because you have left the country and you don't have anybody here, no godfathers, nothing. When we came this with $120 in the pocket, no godfather, nobody to help us. But what we did, how we came up, because of work only. And still that is a strong point in the United States. If you take care of the work, it will take care of your future. And also demonstrate that you are a good team player. See, the team play is very important in every field in America, not only hospitals, even companies. If you are a team player, you can take part in great projects, and if you are a team player in the hospital, you can take part in great clinical studies and so many other things, and people will like you for your leadership qualities. So be a team player and work with everybody. Don't show any reservation or anything, and shoulder the response. But sometimes there is a need that somebody has to take some responsibility for a thing that is not directly related to their work. And in such case, be volunteer. You step forward and say, okay, I will take the responsibility. Maybe you have to work a few hours more, but the investment you made on that few hours a week will give you a lot of result. And that is like a 100-fold more what you call product or something, because you never understand when it will materialize. And if you don't take the responsibility, shoulder responsibility, slowly the system will eliminate you from opportunities. Opportunities will come only to the people who are ready to avail them. Just like Louis Pasteur said, John, uh, chance favors the prepared mind. Same thing applies here. If you take the responsibility today, small one, tomorrow your chief will give a better one, and one day he will give to lead something in the division that creates a future for you. And with that, you can go to the next phase. You can go to another hospital and say, I got this experience. And that's what they do. That's what they should look. They are not looking at your how many patients you treated, how much money you brought in the revenue, but they want leaders who can take the responsibility and build the systems and show that thing that you're a leader by taking the responsibility. And also it involves extra work. Don't hesitate the work. I have seen our own Indian doctors. And when I was in Cincinnati, there are 4 nephrologists. 2 of them took a lot of responsibility, and 2 of them have become chiefs of the divisions now. And the other 2 who never took any responsibility, they have not hit the point over the years. It's not that they're not smart, they're smart, but they have not done what is needed to become a chief. You want to become a chief and go higher, take the responsibility. Don't hesitate. Another thing is, you see that there are many things that can be really boring in America. Regulations. There are too many regulations, too much paperwork. Documentation. Documentation is very important. If the dictum in America is, if you have not written, you have not done anything. You might have given, say, fentanyl patch to the patient, but if you are not written there in the case sheet, you're not given it. That's what they say. Why you did not write it? So you have to write it. If you did some surgery or something, everything you need to document. The documentation, so it is a lot of things that either you dictate or something, but still you have to do, and there are reports and other things, and so many factors are there. So you may think that, oh, what is this boring? I'm not seeing the patients, but that's also part of your job. Seeing only patients is not the job of a physician if the physician wants to be something. And you have to learn to enjoy the doing those things, the boring things which you think, and then only it creates your future. If you don't like those things, you cannot create a future. As I said, be a leader, not a follower. If somebody says who wants to do it, who will take the lead, jump and say, I want to do it. Don't say, okay, somebody will take it and I will just piggyback. If you try to piggyback somebody, you're not going anywhere. Now, sometimes the people whom you are piggybacking, they won't like you. They think that you are taking advantage of their hard work. So don't do that thing. Be a leader. And if your leader is okay, if you do not leader, don't try to piggyback and do something else. Now, the value and success. What I'm trying to show here, the concept of success and value we have back in our education system in India versus American. So what we have in our system is, if you take the leaves as the number of books you read or papers you read or anything, you accumulate so much and you are great. The more you read, the more you study, you will become something great. But in America, they don't care how many leaves you accumulated, how many leaves you read. What they ask you, what you did with the leaves. Did you spread them and serve some food for the people? What is the application? Applied knowledge is more important than theoretical knowledge. If you don't use your knowledge to produce something unique, that knowledge is not considered superior in America. See, we got the information, knowledge, and expertise, 3 levels. Information, anybody can Google and find out anything and say, okay, give a lecture without knowing anything. Or then you can knowledge. I'm not a surgeon, but I can give a lecture on appendectomy to the medical students because I studied medicine. I can read a book of textbook and give a nice lecture to the students and very accurately how to do appendectomy operation. But am I an expert? No, I am not expert because I have not done any appendectomy in my life. Knowledge, information, and have value only if you really use them and produce something or do something in the world. So what is happening is we are giving too much importance to the accumulation of knowledge. Whereas in America, they want to see what you're producing. It doesn't matter even if you don't need so many leaves. Even if you have 10 leaves, show me what you are doing with the 10 leaves. If you catch this concept, everything you do, everything you learn, you try to apply, and you will advance a lot. Got my point? And another thing is communication skills. This is very, very important in America. Even a person applying for housekeeping staff, like cleaning staff in hospital, need first-class communication skills. Because communication is the only way you deal with other people. How you talk and how you understand what they say. So it is the most important as it's like more or less like your visa in the country for your future. So you need to focus on it and master it. But unfortunately, in my own experience, I see in many of our Indian doctors think that, oh, I speak English, so what is the problem? The problem is you speak English, they also speak English in America, but they don't understand your English and you don't understand their English. It happens all the time. Why? It's not accent. There are many things I'll show you. Accent is not any real issue because Americans can understand your Indian accent or Chinese accent or something. That's not a critical thing. Unless it is very, very thick, don't bother too much about changing your accent because when you try to change your accent, it becomes even worse. Try to stick to your accent and get rid of the heaviness. Don't use heavy accent, make it light. What is important is we must speak slow because we speak too fast. From the point of American standards, our speaking is very fast because our Indian languages are fast. Speak clearly, open the mouth, and pronounce each word clearly. Don't swallow any sounds. That happens most of the time when we speak with a low voice, especially. The other thing is loud. Americans are used to speak loud. So if you speak not so loud, they cannot even hear you. Trust me. And if you're dealing with patients, especially older patients, a lot of people here have hearing problems. They may not even hear you. They won't even respond to you. You have to talk loud. And unfortunately, talking loud is considered as a not a good manners in India. That is one problem. But in America, no problem. If you are talking to your boss in India, you have to talk very low voice and softly, and then he will think that you are respecting him. But here, you talk to your boss loud, he will not mind it. And he will encourage you to talk loud because he has to understand what you're saying. So speak loud, open the mouth, and clearly pronounce everything. And also talk to the point. So be concise and clear. If you want to say something, tell it directly. Don't say some story. Many times, for example, when I talk to some IMGs, I ask her what happened. You did not do research. Did you do research or not? It happened. It happened. Really, I'm not joking. You will not say I did not do research. You'll say actually what happened, sir, and he will tell some story why, and then he explains. That doesn't work in America. Don't give explanations. Talk straight and tell. Okay, listen here. And yes or no, tell the yes or no. And if they want explanation, they will ask. But because back in India, we are afraid of telling the truth to our superiors. We developed a habit of even I also used to do when they, for example, they after a prostatectomy, the catheter came and the surgeon comes to the round and he will start first thing the catheter, he will shout. Everybody's scared of telling anything. And somebody says, "So, sir, what happened last night?" It's a cock and bull story, and then convince him that the catheter came out by itself or something. That will not happen here. You be frank, talk to the point. Don't be verbose, and they don't like verbose talking in America. Another thing is when you're talking to the person, look at the face and talk. If the person, suppose somebody is at their desk and working on the computer, never talk to them. If they're doing something else, don't talk, because Americans don't like somebody talking to them when they're not listening to them and doing something else. And when you have meetings like the division meeting or group meetings, if you have something to say, do not hesitate. Just open your mouth and speak. Nobody is going to intimidate you. They will listen. And if you got a good point, they will say you got a good point. You don't have to be afraid of anything. And even if you're a resident, you can talk to in the meeting and say, look here, this is my idea. This is what I want to do. Then it's okay. They'll appreciate it. Another thing is try to listen to talk radios. When you're free at home or driving, there are AM radios where they only talk about something news or something. If you're listening to this radio, you will pick up I'm not talking about accent, you will pick up the words, what words and phrases Americans use, because there are some words which we use in India, they don't use in America. If you use them, they don't understand. I was telling them when one resident came and he wanted a ruler, and he wanted scale, and they brought a weighing scale. Because in America, scale means weighing scale. I mean, it's not, they call the scale, the wooden piece we call the inches, and that they call it ruler, not the scale. So there are terms and which we don't use and they use differently. So you need to get used to the vocabulary of what they're using. The pounds and the kilograms is another thing, you have to be able to convert them without losing because it's very difficult to suddenly shift these metrics and to the traditional one. Now, finally, You can develop anything you want in America, I can guarantee you. What you are today is not important. What you will be tomorrow, say 10 years or 15 years from now. We all came, when we came up, we don't have anything. But you can do those things, you can attain everything. If you can be consistent, that is very important. You know why I tell you? Americans like a predictable person, predictable devil than a erratic angel. You understand my point? You do the things exactly in a particular way, they know, okay, I can trust this guy to do this thing. And then they will find a niche for you. Otherwise, what happens? Oh, I don't know what he does. I tell you one example. Um, I used to be in the research and development committee, and I used to read all the files that come every month for the meeting. And then I used to do exactly as they say. And after a few years, so one day the chief of staff or associate chief of staff is taking vacation, and he asked me, "Can you be in charge for a few days?" I said, "Oh, no, I'm not a senior. There are many senior people here, and why don't you ask them?" He said, "Oh, I don't know how they do things, but I know how you do things." You see, he is confident of how I do the things. Even though they are more senior people, he's not confident how they handle the situation. So you have to be a predictable devil that is better than an erratic and unpredictable angel. Then a lot of opportunities will open, because consistency and predictability are considered as great qualities in America. Respond to requests. If somebody asks you, either your colleague or somebody sends an email, even if you can't help them, always respond. Sorry, thank you this one, but I am not able to help you. I don't have it. And you can refer if somebody so-and-so can approach. Because what happens over the years, if you respond like that, you develop a very good image. People will start respecting you. And when they have an opportunity to speak or something, they will approach you because they know that you respond. If you're not responding, they think, this guy doesn't respond. Why should we go to him? You create an impression about yourself, and that is in your control. And don't think that it's a waste of time. Always respond politely, and if you can do it, do it. If you can't do it, just tell them, sorry, I can't do. Be an approachable person. That means if people, especially those working in your unit and under, like people who are at a lower rank, they should feel that they can approach you. If they have any problem, they should be able to come and talk to you. Look, doctor, I have a problem like this. Even if it is a personal problem, then you will become a great person at workplace. Approachability is very important. If you are tense and serious, I don't know whether I can talk to this guy or not. That's not a good thing to have. And be compassionate to others. Well, I had one American colleague. He says, "Be generous if it doesn't cost you. Being compassionate doesn't cost you anything. Be nice with people, say good words, and even if you can't help them, give them an advice and value them. And it doesn't cost; it's free. And then you develop a great personality, and people like you. And if you do all these things, you develop a sterling personality. Once you develop the sterling personality, there's nothing that can stop you in this country. People will come to you based on your personality, not your qualifications and education. It's like movies, somebody becomes hero today and he acts on few movies and gets some good name. After a few movies, his name becomes a big hero, megastar or something. And after that, everybody wants him to the movie. You can also become like that. You develop a personality. Initially, you sell your qualifications, skills, and other things, but a time will come, suddenly you realize that you are not selling your skills and education, you are selling your name or your personality. Once you reach that stage, there's nothing that can stop you in this country. You can achieve that thing. And that is how most of our high achievers from India in this country have done. So it's not a magic, it's only a question of doing things rightly. So sky is the limit if you want ascent in America. Nobody can stop you. If you got stuck up at one place, that's totally your problem. It's not the system. You cannot blame the system. You cannot blame anybody. You cannot blame any political system or institute, because here everything is open. You can be good physician just by doing your job as splendidly as possible. Then everybody says, oh, he's a very good physician. If you're happy with that thing, that's okay. But if you want to go further, you want to be called an excellent physician, walk an extra mile and take care of patients and residents beyond your job duty. If you just do what is expected from your job description, you will be a good physician. But if you do extra, they will appreciate you and you will become an excellent physician. If you still want to go further, you can be an outstanding physician. You help others to run the system efficiently, your colleagues. You not only progress, you help others in your workplace to progress, then you become an outstanding physician. You can go even further and show that you're indispensable for the division or the unit you're working. In many ways, they'll say exceptional physician. So you can ask me, what is the use of doing all these things? You not only get a great name, but they will also pay you more for these categories. I'm not here. There's no such thing as fixed salary. Salary is based on what you do, whether you're a good physician or excellent physician or outstanding or exceptional. So you can get everything you want. So keep the aim high. Sky is the limit. Don't be happy with whatever you get. So what is life is creating yourself. You can create your life in America. This is the only country I'm telling you. I lived in Europe, I lived in Asia, Japan, and many other countries. This is the only country where you can create yourself. Start today. Do not delay it anymore. And then plan your journey. You need to set up a GPS of your life. We use the GPS in the car, but you don't use the GPS in our life. That is an unfortunate situation. We want to set the GPS to wherever we want to drive, but when our life comes, we don't have any GPS. We get lost. Then we need to work out all the details. Sit down and write it on a paper with clear what are the issues and how you're going to solve it. Even if you don't have clarity in the beginning, it doesn't matter. Eventually, you get the clarity. You will not get the clarity unless you start working on the details. And maintain a journal. This is very important. I maintain a journal for 20 years, more than 20 years. Sit down on a weekend, every weekend, and write down in a book your thoughts, really, what you're thinking, how you can shape your life. Because we spend so much time doing things outside, but when it comes to our own life, we're not paying attention. Write down all your thoughts, your progress, and everything, and try to read them now and then. And this provides a lot of self-discipline and strategy. Both are important. Self-discipline is the single most determinant of success these days. It doesn't matter your education, IQ, all those things. If you don't have self-discipline, you cannot achieve anything. Even an average person with self-discipline can become high achiever. So self-discipline and strategy are more important. Don't count too much on the education, grades, and all those things. They are needed, but they are not the summum bonum, the ultimate reality. They can take you to some extent and then leave you there. It is only your self-discipline and strategy that will help you. Okay. So there is a guy called Kevin Ngo. He said, if you don't make the time to work on creating the life you want, you are eventually going to be forced to spend a lot of time dealing with a life you don't want. You got the message? You want something, try to work on it as much as possible today. Otherwise, you will spend rest of your life dealing with a life you don't want or you did not want. That is what it says. So that is the wisdom we have to follow. And finally, in the YouTube, you will find a podcast given by me for a group called Indian Community. It's about 1 hour, 58 minutes. And I have discussed a lot of things in this one, especially the journey across the different countries, what matters and what doesn't matter, how we have to navigate. You can use the barcode or you can search in the YouTube, Unveiling the Journey of Excellence. So use my name, you'll find it. And I advise you to listen it. It's very important. It provides a lot of advice and clues for everybody to learn. Okay, that's it, I think. Thank you. It took about half an hour or something. Stop sharing. Hello, anybody?
Yes.
If you want to ask any questions, you can ask. I can address them.
Thank you very much, sir. I would like to introduce myself. My name is Adnan, resident of Bangalore, India. Sir.
Okay.
Yeah, your talk was very informative, sir. In fact, you've given so much, you've put so many thoughts to words that I've always wanted to um, uh, understand. You put it to the right words so that I can talk about my thoughts using your words. So
Mhm.
this is a good takeaway for me, sir. So my question is, sir, it could sound very individualistic, but I am currently doing a residency in India, and
Mhm.
um, I intend to move to the US for another residency.
Mhm.
So, I mean, this is creating a lot of mental dogma, sir, in terms of I've already specialized in medicine here, and then I want to redo the procedure again just in order to move to the US. So I'm not mentally able to satisfy myself. How like I also have a life here after doing a specialization. Why would I want to do the whole procedure again? So this I'm not able to get clarity in terms of this thought, sir. So how do you think I should navigate myself through this in order
I
to
mean,
understand?
that is an individual decision. I know a lot of people from my own college itself who had done MS general surgery and practiced for a while, few years, and came here again, gone through the system and doing internal medicine or something. And I know one orthopedic surgeon, 6 years he practiced and he came here. Actually, there are two, not one. And they one of them became GA specialist.
Mhm,
Another became internal medicine. So the people do it. It depends on individual this thing. If so, they did not feel that it is a waste of time to redo everything. But unfortunately, the US medical system doesn't accept qualifications from other countries except UK or Canada.
mhm.
That's a problem.
Yes, sir.
So we need to go through the system. And if you think that it's not worth doing, you don't have to do it. You know, you can
Mhm,
stay there and continue whatever you're doing. The problem in India is it's very difficult to settle down in practice in good cities because
mhm,
80% of the doctors are catering the needs of 30% population there. That's a problem. Most areas don't have physicians. The ratio is low. And there are many factors for that thing because the lack of infrastructure and all those things. And yeah, it's a
mhm,
big issue. I understand. But if you think that you can, if it's not a boring thing to repeat everything, then you can find
mhm.
a future here also.
Not at all, sir. In fact, I'm very motivated to do it all over again. But what was
Uh,
concerning me was if I'm encountered by a US physician or some say program director, and they happen to ask me about why are you doing this all over. So in that way, like what should be the motive for somebody to redo residency even after doing a home country residency in the US? So
No, I don't think that right now. I know that there are people. I met an IMG. She did pathology MD in India,
yes, sir.
and she came and she's trying to do family medicine, and she's doing well.
Mhm,
Depends on the program. They don't bother what you change. If they want to give a chance, they will give you. They
mhm,
don't say they will ask. No. There are a lot of people who are changing. They already worked in India for some time and coming and
mhm,
changing. So that's not a barrier. It's only your ability to continue or just stay back in India. That is your personal decision. Of course, here you need to spend at least 3 or 4 years, even more. If you want to specialize, then it takes even more. So that's a
mhm,
factor you have to think about family responsibilities and other things, especially if you're married and you already have, it's difficult to manage for a while.
mhm,
But the future for doctors here is good because this country needs more doctors. And, there's a lot of room, and a lot of doctors are retiring also. And during the pandemic, a lot of people retired, and
mhm.
so yeah, opportunities are there.
Mm. One point that you mentioned in one of your last slides, you're saying that if you put in extra hours and extra effort in the US, that is not unseen and then they appreciate. This is one thing that really strikes me more when you compare it to the Indian system, where if somebody is slogging through work and doing or taking more responsibility, it is, in fact, I mean, it is just dumped on them rather because they're able to do it. There's no appreciation or any kind of.
No,
Uh,
that is the problem. I know I
yes.
have lived in India for a long time and seen. Thing is, they won't reward you for excellence. They will treat
Mhm.
everybody the same. Then what is happening is, if that is the thing, people don't try to work on excel in everything, because our system doesn't reward the excellence, and everybody says, you got time bound promotions and all those things, and so it doesn't matter whether you work more or less, everybody gets promoted. The system has to change here. Everything is by competence. If you're good, they'll give you. If you're not good, they don't say anything, they'll just ignore you.
Okay.
That's the thing. So we need to have. So that's the thing. What I'm saying, if you want to achieve something, but the other thing we have back in India is, if your superior has to be happy with you, otherwise he will not allow you to grow. But here you don't have that problem.
Mhm.
There are committees and other. Suppose when I apply for promotion, there's a committee that it goes to the committee, and the committee will evaluate, and no one person has any control on it.
Okay.
See, that's the beauty of the system.
In fact, it's not just about medicine; it extends to all professions. That the rewarding aspect is just not in medicine, but then every profession has these.
Every
But
profession, whether corporate, everywhere, the excellence is always rewarded. That's why people come from all over the world and live happily here. And it doesn't matter. Your background doesn't matter where from you're coming. What is your background? Are you from India or this country or that country? Nobody bothers here. What they see is your work. If your work is good, I tell you, if somebody is complaining there's discrimination in America, I tell you, 90% is not a hard worker.
mm-hmm.
I'm telling you,
Yes.
if you're hardworking and if you're excellent, nothing can stop you. People who
Mm-hmm.
complain about discrimination, other thing, they are not done the work. I have seen such people and found that they are not great workers.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are working, you will, and there are plenty of opportunities. If you don't like this place, you can go to another place.
Mm-hmm.
See, but if I see that my university is not doing enough, I got other universities I can go, and they give me a better job or better salary, whatever it is. There's so many opportunities. When opportunities are so many, how can you say that you're not struggling? That's not right.
Okay.
So, see, if you're working, you can definitely come up here.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the one point why people come and struggle a lot here.
Mm-hmm.
They know that one day they will see the result.
Mm-hmm.
And you whatever work you did, he stays with you. Nobody's going to steal from you, and you get
Mm-hmm.
the credit for it.
Yes. So, thank you so much, sir. It was
Oh,
very
thank
nice
you very much.
interacting with
Thank
you
you.
here. Yes.
Any other
I.
questions?
Dr. Kishore, I want to ask one question.
Oh, sure.
Like whenever we go, I was there in a state for my electives and observership. And I found that some of the IMGs who don't know anybody on that program, they have become friends, like close friend with their colleagues. And sometimes they crack some inside jokes between them, and others are looking on them and they didn't get it. Like as you mentioned in your previous slide, it is not good or not advisable to do that kind of thing. So I want to know, like, how can we maintain the professional boundaries with our colleagues who become our closest friend, or that thing?
See, the friendship is different. Suppose if you got good friends who is also outside friend, that is different. But at the workplace, you have to be equally good with everybody. And what is said. Sometimes some Indians will do, Indians will do a lot of things. They will form some groups and do those things. That's not good, because that's how you lose your respect for the community, and eventually they're not going too far. I tell you, people who do these things, they don't go too far. They will stop after some time, because The system realizes everything. I tell you one thing. Here, Americans are very keen observers. They know who is good and who is coming and shortcuts and other things. So it doesn't work. It's all born out of lack of confidence. If you're confident, you don't do those things. It's always the people who don't have confidence in their own merit and something try to do these things. And I know there are a lot of doctors doing it and residents are also taking advantage. But you know, if you look at the people who really made a mark, it's very different. You can see that the people who take shortcuts will not go too far. So you don't have to bother about things. And if you see something, don't care, but just you do your stuff. Here, if you keep on looking at all those things, you will lose your own path. Okay.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or we end this session?
I think there is no question, so we can
Okay.
end our
Thank you very
session.
much. Thank you. Thanks for
Yes,
coming.
sir. Thank you. And thank you, sir. On the behalf
Thank
of
you.
Shivani Bhatt Charitable
Oh,
Foundation, I will thank to
any time, no problem. Okay. Thank you.
yes, yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.